Welcome to the Finance Committee for June 2023. Do we need our legal eagle here? All right, good. All right, folks. David, public speakers, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there are 3 speakers today. They're all virtual. The first, although there's nobody right there yet, the first speaker will be Jason Anthony, who will be followed by Charlton D'Souza, and the last speaker will be Andy Pollock. So the first one is Jason Anthony.
Thank you, David. Hey, Neil. On the Monday after my 37th birthday, a couple of things that I want to address here at the Finance Committee meeting. First, we need to approve once and for all congestion pricing. Although that our friends west of Hudson don't want it, we don't know why. Second, we want expand fair fares to include it in the commuter rails, and most and not least, tourists that visit our beloved city, we need to have attractable fares for them, because cities like Los Angeles and Chicago, they have attractable fares for them. Why not New York City to have attractable fares for them? So that's all I have to say, Neil. I'll see you guys next month.
Thank you. Our second speaker is Charlton D'Souza, who will be followed by Andy Pollock.
Good afternoon, everyone. Charlton D'Souza from Passengers United. And I just wanted to say, in terms of the MTA's fare increase, there's some things that you'll need to relook at. So you know how you have the $7 peak fare proposal for the Long Island Railroad City ticket? The problem with the $7 fare is if somebody is paying $10, that means the MTA's vending machines have to make change. See, what I like about the $5 thing is it works because it's $5. You just put it in and that's it. There's no change. Everyone has a 5. But what I think y'all should do on the mobile apps, y'all should make the off-peak city ticket fare $3.75, and the peak fare for the Long Island Railroad city ticket should be $5, and the weekly, the Freedom Weekly Pass should be $50, so that people can put a $50 bill inside the machine, and that works as well. You'll need to relook at that fare structure, because $7 means y'all are going to have to put more change in the vending machines. It doesn't work. And we really need it at $5. In terms of the fare being $2.90, I think the base fare should just be $2.75. Keep it short and simple. And there really shouldn't be any fare increases with all the crime and stuff going on. Another thing that we want is if you pay $2.75 on the bus with change, there should be an ability to give people a third transfer. I know Nassau and County Express does it. And is there a way with Omni that you guys can even do that? Especially, when there's service disruptions on the weekends and late nights where people might have to take a third bus. Y'all need to take a look at that. And definitely, with accessibility in the ADA community, they should not have to pay the tolls on Access-a-Ride or on any of that. That is ridiculous. That proposal needs to be taken off the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final speaker is Andy Pollock.
Thank you, David. Good afternoon, Neil. Good afternoon, everyone. So Andy Pollock, for the record, Passengers United. So I'm going to talk this month about 2 things. Number 1, the disability fare. Technically, it's a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act to not mention that there's a possibility my disability fare could jump up from $135 to $150. So the disability community, not just me, but everybody else in the disability community needs to know if our fare is going to go up, because again, that's clearly somewhat a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And then the second thing I briefly want to touch upon And this is specifically for Westchester County Executive George Latimer and Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman. So if the MTA is thinking of raising the fares to $2.90, this means that Beeline buses in Westchester, Nassau Intercounty Express buses are going to also have to jump up to $2.90. So we have not heard from those elected officials up in Westchester and Nassau, and our organization is going to be seeking those answers as soon as possible for the residents of both Westchester and Nassau County. So with that, I'm going to conclude my time. Thank you for letting me speak today.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, that concludes the public speakers.
Thank you, David. Just a brief remark. I'll just build on what our chair said earlier. Obviously, with Dick Ravage's passing, I think we can be quite honored that this Finance Committee has a relatively easy task in front of it, given his incredible work over decades when he was in this chair, literally and figuratively, as well as in his years since then, his advocacy for the MTA and our municipal finance. So it's an honor that we're able to have such an easy time. And then tonight is our last fair hearing, I believe, in this very room. So if Andy and others want to come and talk about any of our fair proposals, we will be here. I will be here to hear those. And having done those in years past, we do listen. We are here for not any other reason than to hear the public speak. So we'll be here. Now, a motion for the minutes of the May meeting, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Second. Thank you. Comments, corrections, deletions. Andrew.
Yes, we did receive this late, but I was glancing through it now, and if you look on page 9 under Metro North Long Island Railroad, it mentions Statement Island Rapid Transit Authority instead of Staten Island.
Okay. I've been there. You're right. Paige, you have the correction? Okay. With that in mind, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion passes. Thank you very much. Committee work plan is unchanged, page 12. David, budget watch, please.
Thank you. Results are for operations through May and subsidies through June and measured against the adopted budget. Key takeaways this month: continued positive results for fare box and toll revenue, with ridership tracking the McKinsey ridership projections and favorable yield per trip. Expenses remain below budget and under control. Debt service savings reflect management actions, and unfavorable subsidies reflect real estate transaction tax shortfalls, which are partially offset by other subsidies. Farebox revenue is $19 million, or 5% favorable in May, and through May was favorable by $57 million, or 3%. Farebox revenue through May, however, remains $540 million, or 28% less than the first 5 months of 2019 prior to the pandemic. Toll revenue was $14 million favorable, or 7% in May, and was $59 million, or 7% favorable year-to-date, reflecting higher than forecasted traffic. Operating expenses were $46 million, or 3% favorable in May, and year-to-date expenses were $210 million favorable, or 3%. Year-to-date, 31% of the operating expense favorability is attributable to payroll and health and welfare costs due to vacancies, including the additional overtime to cover vacancies, and another 18% is due to lower electric power expenses, with the remainder predominantly timing related. Overtime was $29 million, or 39% unfavorable in May, and was $92 million, or 25% unfavorable year-to-date. Overruns were primarily due to vacancy and absentee coverage. At New York City Transit, where most of the unfavorable variance has occurred, about $31 million of Transit's $85 million year-to-date unfavorable variance is due to vacancies, which is offset by New York City Transit payroll savings of $55 million year-to-date. Debt service was $119 million favorable, or 59% in May, primarily due to the prepayment of May debt service that was done in April, and that's mostly offset by the negative debt service variance that we recognized last month. Year-to-date debt service was $122 million, or 10% favorable, due to refunding and interest prepayment savings. Subsidies were $125 million unfavorable year-to-date through June, or 5%, primarily reflecting the real estate transaction taxes, which were unfavorable by $187 million, or 33%, and for higher vehicle surcharge, which was unfavorable by $16 million, or 9%. Partially offsetting these favorable results were the payroll mobility tax, $50 million favorable, the petroleum business tax, $10 million favorable, and MMTO, which was $15 million favorable. The additional MMTO reflects $7.5 million per month, which was part of the additional state enacted budget that we received that began on April 1st. Taken together, operating results through May and operating budget subsidies through June, these results are favorable by $325 million against the budget, or 13%. And that concludes Budget Watch.
Questions, comments? Okay, so let's just highlight one thing pretty important. If everyone caught the beginning of what David said, on fare box revenue, we have broken through the high case of the McKinsey assessment. Okay? That's really good news. Really good news. Now, David, you may want to explain to us why we have broken through the high case for fare box revenue dollars, but we're only at the mid case for ridership. What's the difference there?
So really quickly, if you look at the ridership and fare box revenue graph that's at the beginning of Budget Watch, I think it's on the second page, you'll see that the ridership is tracking with the McKinsey projections. Last month it was a little bit below, this month it's a little bit ahead, but the fare box revenue is much higher because passengers are paying higher price per ticket. They're buying fewer of the monthlies, they're buying fewer of the weeklies on the commuter railroads, they're buying fewer of the 7-day and the 30-day passes on the MetroCards. So the cost per trip is higher. It doesn't mean, and that's essentially, so it's the average yield is higher.
So we are happy people aren't buying monthlies in some ways.
Well, bottom line, I'll just go back from what you just said. Really, people are buying what they need to buy.
Yeah, well said, well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what we say, that's what we say in television, when you want it, where you want it. David, go ahead.
Okay, there is a downside, obviously, because of the concentration of lower-income people who don't get the 30-day, but are stuck with the same day and weekly. So there's sort of a fly in this ointment that we're hitting people who have the least resources.
You know, I just read the obituary for Dick Ravitch, and it said no matter how dark he got, everyone else got, he was always a little bit more gray. So thanks for that negative spin on it. But keep going.
Yeah, I guess I would just say we're, looking at that, and clearly, as we look to the fare adjustment, thinking about the weekly and monthly to make them as cost effective as possible to, both we've seen the demographics of lower income buying more of the weeklies as well as the essential workers and so forth. So part of the idea of the fare mix is to address the issue you mentioned.
Thank you, David. Anyone else? Okay, great. Thank you, David. Olga, over to you on Finance Watch, please.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, committee members. Today in Finance Watch on page 19, we have an update on the schedule of the bond transaction we discussed last month. The bonds are scheduled to price later this week and close in early July. We are structuring bonds with maturities in 5, 7, and 10 years. The structure intends to take advantage of attractive rates in this part of the interest rate curve. As structured, the bonds are expected to have interest cost as measured by TIC of approximately 3.1%. For comparison, both short-term rates and long-term rates are substantially higher. The TIC rate on the 30-year bond is approximately 4.4%, and short-term rates are currently also north of 4%. Are there any questions I can help to address?
Anyone? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Olga. We have one action item on the agenda. David, please.
Certainly. The action item is requesting approval for the annual payment of the state assessment on the MTA and its constituent agencies for the Public Work Enforcement Fund, the PWEF. State law requires state agencies and authorities to pay an assessment based on 1/10 of the value of public work construction projects entered into, excluding rolling stock contracts. PWEF assessments are used to cover State Department of Labor expenses related to its enforcement of the state's prevailing wage law. The state and the MTA have a procedural agreement with payments made each year based on the estimated amount of public work contracts, with adjustments made for the prior year's difference between that year's projection and what turned out to be the actuals. The 2023 payment reflects a 2023 estimate of $5.19 million and a 2022 true-up adjustment of $2.51 million. The result is a required PWEF payment of $7,702,409, and the staff summary can be found on page 20 of the committee book.
Thank you, David. Motion. Thank you, Lisa. Second. Thank you, thank you, Sammy. Any questions, comments for David? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you, David. Lizette, playing a role as the Acting Chief Procurement Officer on top of your other duties. Please, the floor is yours for MTA HQ procurement.
Thank you very much, Chair. There is one action for MTA headquarters for Finance Committee approval in the amount of $17.6 million, and this action can be found in the committee book on page 26. This action is an extension of a competitively solicited miscellaneous service contract with Cubic Transportation Systems, Inc., to provide in-depot maintenance services for the Bus Customer Information System Hardware Subsystem, or BHS. BHS is the hardware portion of the MTA's vehicle location system. It provides a real-time bus locations that are critical to many of our information systems like bus time, digital signs, and Omni. It's installed on more than 5,800 buses, and Cubic is the sole manufacturer of spare parts for its BHS units that are in need of repair or replacement. Cubic also handles the on-bus replacement and product return for the BHS Plus hardware, which was designed in-house and manufactured by other manufacturers that don't rely on Cubic for parts. And this contract period will be 2 years plus 2 one-year options for a total duration of 4 years. Work provided under this modification also includes diagnostic, onboard, holistic network health checks, and improved service level agreements response times from 48 to 24 hours to support Omni requirements. Cubic agreed to continue offering labor rates as negotiated in the prior modification that was established in 2019, and the total cost for this 4-year extension is estimated at $18.2 million. However, Cubic provided a reduction of $500,000, which yields a total estimate of $17.6 million for the 4-year period. The first 2 years of this extension will allow the MTA time to develop a longer-term strategy for competitive procurement.
Thank you for explaining the acronym of CIS. That bus time tool was pretty amazing. I saw it in action on Sunday night. I'm amazed how accurate it is. A motion, please. Okay, well, let's do the motion second, then we'll entertain thank you, sir. Second. Thank you. Okay, questions.
Lizette, are you referring to the bus countdown clocks that are on city streets as part of this?
Come over the mic. Go over the mic.
We'll have someone who can, from
Thank you, because
Who can
those
ask
have
specifics?
some real issues.
So the bus countdown clocks are fed from the bus time system. The bus countdown clocks have some issues with City DOT. City DOT is working to
Yes.
fix them, but the accuracy of the information still remains. It is similar to what the chair said about bus time. So I don't foresee any connection between bus time and the city countdown clocks. That's something
No, I
that the
think
city has
there's
to fix.
something in the translation by the time DOT gets them up and running, but
Yep.
there have been several issues that people have reported, and I've gone out and checked, and they're way off. So,
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.
Other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Lizette, continue, please, if you wouldn't mind, with the agency procurement item.
Sure thing. There's one information item on page 28 of your committee book for Metro North Railroad on behalf of the Connecticut Department of Transportation, which was approved by its respective committee, requesting to exercise an option to purchase 6 dual-mode locomotives. There are no information items for Long Island Railroad this month. There are no items for New York City Transit or bridges and tunnels. Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lizette. All right, consolidated financial and operational reports are apparently on page 29 of your books. Are there any comments, questions, or thoughts on those documents? Hearing none, I'll move to our pinch hitter for Mr. Florio's absence. Is it pronounced Shantae?
Yes, that's correct.
Enchanté.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you, Chairman. Real estate has 5 action items for consideration and approval. Please note that there were 8 action items. However, items B, F, and H have been removed from this month's agenda. There are now 5 items for the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. The first is a lease amendment with Premium Brands LLC for retail space at 2 Broadway. The second item is an amendment to the agreement with BP 347 Madison Developer LLC. The third is a modification to the Madison Avenue Development Agreement with Boston Properties. The fourth item covers agreements with Amtrak to permit the construction of its Hudson Tunnel concrete casing under the Long Island Railroad Western Rail Yard. The fifth item is for the MTA Metro North Railroad regarding the sale of development rights at 180 East 135th Street, Port Morris, Bronx. Bob Paley, head of MTA Transit Oriented Development, is here to answer any questions regarding the second, third, fourth, and fifth action items. There are, in addition, 11 information items. The first 5 information items are with MTA New York City Transit. They are a lease agreement between New York City Transit and 2558 Grand Concourse LLC for employee swing space in support of bus operations at 2558 Grand Concourse in the Bronx. Also, an amendment to the agreement between New York City Transit and A&H Laundry of Brooklyn LLC for restroom access at 9814 4th Avenue in Brooklyn. A permit agreement between New York City Transit and New York City Economic Development Corporation for utility removal work at 65 Commercial Street in Brooklyn. An access agreement between New York City Transit and Woodside Landmark Realty LLC for property required in connection with the rehabilitation of substation roofs and enclosures projects in Queens. And access agreements between New York City Transit and Beige Family Realty Company LLC for property required in connection with the rehabilitation of substation roofs and enclosures project in Queens. The next 4 information items are with the MTA Long Island Railroad. 3 items describe license agreements between the Long Island Railroad and JPA Consolidated for 3 retail units at A, the Manhasset Station, B, the Port Washington Station, C, the Lynbrook Station, and an access agreement between the Long Island Railroad and Rose Breslin Associates LLC to facilitate site survey and other preliminary work in connection with the Yap Hank Station relocation project in Brookhaven. The 10th information item is with the MTA Metro North Railroad and is a short-term permit agreement between Metro North Railroad and Dia Art Foundation for access and parking for the event at the Beacon Station. The 11th item is for the MTA the MTA Staten Island Railway and is a license agreement between SIR and Staten Island Chamber of Commerce for banner placement at 293 Bay Street in Staten Island. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding any of the foregoing or information items presented.
You certainly got a small portion this month in your colleague's absence. Wow. All right, motion to approve this entire slate of things. Thank you, David. Second. Second. Thank you, Sharif. All right, comments or questions, please? No one. All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Well done, Shantae.
Thank
Motion
you.
passes. I guess I'll ask for that most joyous of things. Have a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Second. Thank you. All right, folks. We'll see you at the fair hearing in tomorrow. Take care. Thank you.